my question is, can that servicing company help mitigate some of that risk or help you avoid? It cannot. It does not work. So
because
you as a private lender really could not lend the money for an investor to buy a property that they wanted to
no,
house.
I can, I
You
can,
can.
I can because I'm the lender. I make my own rules. Ed is a
Okay.
lender. He makes his rules. But what
Okay.
you're referring to is a DSCR loan, a debt
Right.
service to income loan, right?
Right.
And they make their own rules, and they are saying, Elaine, I don't want you to live in that house. That house that I just sold, she's living in it. It's now her house. I'm just collecting the payments.
Okay. Now, is that not a concern around their ability to take recourse, because there's certain amount of allowances you have to allow someone who's living in their primary residence? So does a lender not lose? And maybe it's different in North Carolina. This could be news to my ears. So I've house hacked before, but I went with a traditional bank.
Yeah,
And I had a duplex and I lived on
yeah.
one floor and rented the other. So you as a private lender in North Carolina, you could actually lend money without.
As long as I obey by the Dodd-Frank rules, which means there is no prepayment penalty for you. That which means I cannot give you a balloon payment that is shorter than 8 years. Which means I gotta verify your income and make sure that you are at 50%, 57% of the payment that you're making to me is no more, including all the other payments, is no more than 57% of your income. That's what the Dodd-Frank does, or that's what the servicing company does, making sure that I as a lender, have verified you as a borrower correctly, and that I don't put a contract in place that says there is a prepayment penalty for you and there is a balloon of 3 years. Right now,
Okay.
I can do that with the 28 properties that I am selling. I'm not selling them. I'm giving you a lease option to purchase.
Yes.
So you're leasing it from me, and I'm telling you, hey, within 3 years, you can either give me the keys back, or you can say, I exercise my option to purchase it. That is a lease option to purchase. It's something different uh, than owner finance. I, as a lender, can decide who I want to lend to or not. But if I do it to an homeowner or somebody that's going to live in it, I got to make sure that I vet that person, make sure that they like all these things that I just said. Ed, you raise your hands. You want to chime in
And
on this?
and I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll let Ed is a lender, so I think it's a great time to have him chime in.
It's the 2 points I'll kind of share with that is one, Eric's talking about outsourcing to companies that do certain tasks. And one of the criteria I think are very important criteria to use is what are the negatives, what are the potential risks if something goes awry? And as a factor of, do I outsource this or not? Because outsourcing is typically almost always going to cost more than if you do it and have time to do it yourself. Dodd-Frank is one of those areas that is draconian if you don't get it right. And it only comes into play if you're lending to individuals. So if you only lend to companies, no Dodd-Frank there.
Yeah,
It's different set of rules. But when you start lending to individuals, you become a bank, and the banking regulations treat you as such. And there's some specific exemptions that will allow you to get out for just if you're going to do one or maybe three with a company, and some special little rules here and there. But messing up one of those rules is pretty big deal. So I think that's a strong criteria to use to say, do you look at using an outsource entity if you're going to play in that arena? And so Dodd-Frank is just one of those areas that I think lends itself to outsourcing.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. And also, what about a lender's recourse? So our typical hard money loans, private loans, have clauses in them that allow you to expedite the foreclosure process if you have to. And I'm thinking in a situation where a private lender has loaned money to an individual and that's their primary home, that they're losing that ability. Can you write that into your loan agreement as a private lender?
Private lenders can do whatever they want to do, right? Like
Wow.
right in
Well,
their
hold on,
con-
Eric, hold on. She's asking if you're lending to a homeowner, and that puts
Right,
it back to the Dodd-Frank rules.
right.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I
And Eric and Elaine, let me just make a clarification, because typically when you say a private lender or hard money lender, normally they're lending to entities for a purchase or fix and flip, not to individuals. And so
Right.
that's the terminology may be throwing some folks off a little bit on the call, because that's typically language that's only used when you're in that world. When you're
Yeah.
when you're lending to individuals for a home ownership, that is very much, it can be a private person lending, but you are lending as a bank then, truly, not as a private lender, so to speak. So just from a terminology perspective, that may be throwing some folks off, because it's not,
It threw
Yeah.
me
we
off
don't
a little bit.
normally
So I
talk about
appreciate it.
lending to people.
Yeah.
Yes, and just so you all know, I actually want to explore some creative financing in this area. And in the past, that has kind of been the concern, understandably, is the Dodd-Frank implications and, you know, them having trouble with recourse. Whereas if they loan to an LLC, they get all kinds of expedited processes that help them foreclose quicker if they need to. So
Yeah,
I would,
if
that's
you
what
lend to an LLC, all rules are off. It's a contract between me and you, and we can write anything as two business owners that we want to in that contract.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when it comes to foreclosure, Elaine, I have been in this business for 8 years. This is now a downturn market, right? That we're in. That was pretty clear. Um, am I worried? Maybe some, but I have one thing I always do is my communication lines with my lenders stay super open, right? Anything happening to their property,
Yeah.
I treat them like my business partner, right?
Mhm.
So the reason I want to say that is within my 8 years, there have been times I was unable to make payment. I come
Mhm.
from food stamps, right? Like I don't come from money. I come from food stamps, and but yet I have never been foreclosed on because I always communicated with my
Yes,
lenders, and that
absolutely.
is the key thing in everything.
Absolutely.
In August, I was at an event where I met some of the biggest names in real estate: Brandon Turner, Robert Kiyosaki, Ted Nugent, Ken McElroy. And Brandon Turner verbatim said on stage that he's losing on two individual deals. He's losing 100,000 on each. On one, he's super pissed, and on the other, it is what it is. And why? The one he's super pissed about is the deal that the borrower does not communicate with him and said, "Oh no, it's great. Oh no, it's great. Oh no, it's great." And then all of a sudden he gets a, "Hey man, I'm unable to pay you letter." If you are honest, if you are open, if
Yeah.
you are transparent, I wonder how you ever get foreclosed on if you treat
Yeah.
your lenders like they are part of your business and they need to know everything.
And that's been our relationship with our lenders. So we've never been foreclosed on. Just understand those foreclosure questions have come more so from talking to some private lenders who are
Yeah.
just like terrified and like Dodd-Frank anxiety, like, no, we can't ever have you living in a property because I'm looking for a unique house hack opportunity. And so that was the reason why when I heard you mention about the servicing company, I thought that might open some avenues, but yeah, but no, we've never been foreclosed on, and we treat actually our lenders like friends because
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the way it is. So